Discussion on the Zoo story by Edward Albee. Characters, themes and full summary. Characters. 1. Peter. A mild-mannered, middle-aged man representing the upper middle class. He is polite, reserved, and initially resistant to Jerry's chaotic intrusion into his life. Peter's inability to defend his space or assert himself reflects his passive acceptance of societal norms. Jerry. A volatile, lonely man who seeks connection through confrontation. He embodies themes of alienation, existential angst, and the human need for communication. Jerry's background, poverty, dysfunctional relationships, contrasts sharply with Peter's privileged life. Themes. Isolation and loneliness. Jerry is a symbol of modern alienation, as he is unable to form meaningful connections with anyone in his life. The play examines how isolation can drive individuals to extreme behavior in search of human interaction. Class conflict. The contrast between Peter's comfortable life and Jerry's struggles highlights the disparity between social classes. Jerry's resentment of Peter's complacency reveals a critique of middle-class values. Communication and miscommunication. The play explores how people often talk past each other rather than truly connect. Jerry's desperate attempts to communicate underline the difficulty of finding authentic understanding in modern society. Existentialism. Jerry's orchestrated death reflects existential themes of finding meaning in a meaningless world. His actions force Peter to confront the fragility of his own existence. Human violence and survival. The climactic confrontation examines the thin line between civility and violence. Jerry's manipulation of Peter into violence raises questions about human nature and the instinct for survival. Full summary. Setting. The play is set on a bench in Central Park, New York City, where two strangers meet. Peter, a conventional, middle-class publishing executive, and Jerry, an eccentric, disheveled loner. Introduction. Peter sits reading a book on the bench when Jerry approaches him with the abrupt announcement, "I've been to the zoo." Jerry initiates a conversation, despite Peter's reluctance, drawing him into an increasingly intense and probing dialogue. Jerry's monologue. Jerry shares details about his isolated and miserable life in a boarding house, where he lives among dysfunctional characters. He describes his failed attempts to connect with people and tells a bizarre story about his interactions with a dog owned by his landlady. This story reflects Jerry's desperate longing for communication and understanding, even if it means resorting to violence or manipulation. Climactic conflict. Jerry's conversation becomes more aggressive and erratic as he challenges Peter's complacency and conventional life. Jerry provokes Peter into a physical confrontation by taking control of the park bench, a symbol of Peter's ordered life. Jerry ultimately forces Peter to stab him with a knife Jerry himself produces, orchestrating his own death to escape his existential despair. Conclusion. Jerry dies, but not before thanking Peter, cryptically implying that the experience gave his life some meaning. Peter is left horrified and bewildered, symbolizing the shattering of his comfortable worldview. Symbolism. The bench represents Peter's secure, structured life and Jerry's disruption of that order. The battle for control of the bench symbolizes a deeper struggle for meaning and connection. The dog story reflects Jerry's struggle to connect, even with a non-human being, and his failure to find mutual understanding. The zoo, a metaphor for human society, where individuals are trapped in cages of their own making, unable to communicate or escape their isolation. Critical analysis. Psychological depth. Albee delves deep into the psychological motivations of his characters, using Jerry's monologues to reveal his inner turmoil and existential crises. Social commentary. The play critiques the superficiality of modern life and the isolation inherent in urban, capitalist societies. Albee's style. The dialogue is sharp, confrontational, and layered, making every exchange meaningful. The play's minimalistic setting emphasizes the characters' psychological battles. Ambiguity. The ending leaves questions about the morality of Jerry's actions and Peter's response, encouraging audience interpretation. Conclusion. The zoo story is a powerful exploration of human connection, societal alienation, and existential dread. Through the intense interaction between Peter and Jerry, Albee exposes the fragility of human relationships and the desperate lengths people go to in their quest for meaning.